Jerome JT62 back on the Pegasus 12. I thought I'd do a video on the things that I've done to upgrade this machine to my liking. I did post a initial video series on the assembly of it. If you want to follow that, I'll post a link. What this is going to include are printed parts that I've done, such as the display holder, lighting here. This is a switch for the lighting. We'll go over that. Solution that I came up with for me. Webcam holder that seemed to work perfect for this particular machine, or at least for me. PEI film on the bed itself. My take on the filament holder. If you want to design something other than that or outside of that, and at least it might give you some ideas. Filament runout sensor. BL touch. Parts cooling. And a few other things. I'll provide links to the information that I give you if this is something you'd like to make your machine look like, or maybe there's a few things in here that you might be able to take from this and incorporate into your own project. Something you're interested in? Stay tuned. So here we are. We're back. If you don't like this video for some reason, please let me know why, so that I can improve, give you more information, whatever you need. If you like it, please subscribe. So I thought we'd start from the bottom up. There's some things that I actually thought were kind of important, and some people probably kill me for this, but I did purchase this print dry for filament. I do live in Northern California. It's not really that humid, but we'll go over a little bit on how I store my filament later on in this video. I mean, you can build your own. Wasn't worth it to me. You know, sometimes things just aren't worth it. By the time I buy one of these, it's $60. This is $100. You can also get another spool holder, depending on your demographics. If you want to dry as you print, you can put another one up here in dual colors if you have a dual extruder or whatever. So I went ahead and got that. My better half thought it was a good deal. So if it's a good deal to her, it's a good deal to me. I do have an octoprint installed on here. This is a 7-inch touchscreen with the what do you call this case? It's a Smarty Pie. We'll go over a little bit on some things that I've installed on this. I couldn't stand having to unplug this Raspberry Pi, so it's an auto shutdown. Let me turn this around here. I'll have to put this on my desk. But there's a couple solutions for that, and this one is by MSL Digital, I believe. I'll provide a link for that. It's actually wireless, so you can turn it on, turn it off, and it actually shuts down the whole system. But you have to be aware that you have to make some wiring changes. If you buy the Smarty Pie, they give you It's like a Y connector, and that's really not usable if you want to shut the touch screen down and totally shut the system off like a computer, which I did. So I hope this focuses for you, but I had to solder. You're going to have to use the leads instead of this Y connector, because the Y connector provides power on both sides, and it's not subjective as to whether it's going to shut down one or the other. It just shuts down the Raspberry Pi when it shuts down. So I thought about it, and what you have to do is connect the actual power to the screen with these jumpers that are provided with a Raspberry Pi official 7-inch touch, and solder them to plus and minus. The downside of this is it does use a GPIO header. On both 5-volt side and on the negative. There's plenty of negatives on here if you look at the pinouts, but the 5 volts are taken. So if you wanted to run a fan or something like that, you're gonna have to solder the 5-volt on here, such as I did. And the first 3 pins are what you're gonna need. The first 2 are 5-volt. I chose the second one, and the third one is your ground. And it'll totally shut this whole system down. You can either touch the button back here, or you can use a remote control, which you can buy from them for like $6, and it's already programmed to this, so I suggest you do that. I'll provide a link to this. If you have any questions on the wiring of that, let me know, and I'll let you know what you need to do. I haven't found a solution yet for that's the actual sensor itself. It's an IR, so you know the remote has to see it, and then I really like that power on, and it shows you when it's off. It's a 2-color LED, red and green, so when it's shut off or shutting down, we'll shut that down for you just so you can see. And that is a remote. It's like $5. Can't go wrong with that. We just hit the power on it, and you can see it shutting it down. So if you were all the way across the room, you could actually turn this thing on, and the screen is actually black. If you don't do the wiring, like I said, the screen will always be powered on. So you have to do that. So any questions, let me know, and I'll go over that for you. Real quick, this is the Logitech 310 that I chose. I have an HD, and I tried that. There's not a reason to use that. The HD won't fit in this particular holder that I'm going to provide a link for. The base is actually too thick, but this is perfect. It's kind of loose in here though, so I had some extra foam on hand that I could, you know, that electronic stuff they send you in some things, you just stick it on, or you could use window foam, you know, just cut it down so that that's, you know, held in there pretty good. And then this clamp, I chose this particular print because what I wanted this to do was actually ride up on the print as it comes up rather than focus on the bottom. So what I did was just printed an additional link in here, because you're going to need 2 of them to bring that out, so it's more centered on the bed, so it'll look like this. If you put one, it'll be more over to the side. So I'll provide a link for that component. the actual, let me turn the lighting on in this. Sorry about that, but the actual face on this 310 you're going to have to print. I'll provide a link for that. But don't use the focus wheel they give you. You're going to have to print another one. Actually, the focus wheel on this one doesn't work, but this one did, so there's like two parts to that. I went ahead and installed PEI film on this touch bed. Not touch bed, but actual heat bed here. I have to tell you, you have to be careful when you put this stuff on here, because when you put the adhesive down, this 3M stuff, it's one shot, one kill. You get one chance. Don't try to peel it off, because they'll throw the sheet away and you're going to have to get another one. So what I recommend you do is put this like in a corner of a wall or something like that, and line it up so it's, you know, straight as you can get it. And then if you have like one of those small pizza rollers, or probably even a small rolling pin, you need to roll that down and then peel the side off. And then you have to do the same thing with this PEI sheet to square it up, because once it touches, you're done. You're done. Don't try to peel it off. You get another sheet. I went through 4 sheets of this freaking adhesive, and finally, it wasn't exactly perfect, but I learned my lesson. Go with what you got. So get it as square as you can. Put it in a corner, make a jig, do whatever you have to do, or you're going to be sweating. I went through four sheets of the stuff. The lighting that I chose for this came from super bright LEDs. It's a strip. I just put an aluminum bar on the back. I hope you can see this with L brackets, so you can actually rotate this up or down as you want, but I focus it for brightest. I'll provide a link for the LED strip. And you can see right in there, I hope. Maybe not so much, but you can see the difference if I turn this off. I got tired of having to use a flashlight to see prints. You can see the difference with that. It's like huge. And then with the extra leftover I had, again, I used not LED, but L brackets, and put that extra piece here and wired it up into the switch. This is a printed switch here, so I'll provide a link for that. The cover for the LCD panel, pretty much the same thing everybody prints. So that's what I used. Came out actually pretty good. Keep in mind, you're gonna have to do some filing on like these buttons. I think my phone gets too hot sometimes with the flash on, and the thing won't come back on. I really apologize for that. I wanted to show you the face of that. Maybe I'll show you in the end when the sun comes up tomorrow. But like I said, you're gonna have to do some filing in here on the front and back, or that button will not fit in this case. when you put it together, it's going to want to push the button down. So be a little bit patient with that. This is my take on the filament holder. All these are PVC. I believe they're 1.25 inches by 1/2. I just got a dowel and send the screw in there, and you're gonna have to use like a Dremel or something, just barely take the threads off so these will slide on. They're gonna be too tight. And the reason why that slid over this way and not that way is so that it has adjustability for different size reels in here, because this is a way wider than normal reel. And so don't glue these together. You got to be able to adjust them and pull them apart. So it's just L bracket again, Home Depot, same package, and L channel. And then I just put grooves on the inside so that it can sit in there so it doesn't fall off, obviously. It actually worked out pretty good. It's really stable. You can put 3 reels up there if you want to. I really don't see a sense in it, but you can do that. Filament runout sensor. OMG. This thing gave me the biggest grief ever to install. Using a lot of profanity with this, and it's not because of the actual housing itself. I'll provide a link for that. You can print in 2 different colors, same color. I highly recommend that you use a mechanical switch. You can use you'll see a lot of prints out there for the optical sensor, but there's a big issue with that, especially with blue filament. For some reason, I think it scatters the UV. I don't know, but it won't sense that. It only senses like solid colors like black. I didn't even try purple. When the blue wouldn't work, I'm like, I'm not going to bother with it. So I went ahead and bought the rolled sensors, and this link that I'm providing you for this particular case here, or STL housing, I suggest you use that one because it gives you more room for the switch. I think it's an Omron or something like that, which is very common. But if you print the original STL, it's not going to fit. The switch is going to be too long. But this one actually gives you a link to the switch that they used, and it works super good, super good. So if I got a full spool like this, I'm not going to use that. So what you want to do is just put a piece of filament in here. If you want to be really smart, you can put a switch on it, but I'm not going to bother with that. Just put a piece of filament so the Raspberry Pi actually sees a piece, filament in there on active high. And then when you get down to the last taste of your filament, so you don't ruin a print, then you're going to want to run it through here. Or if you have a short spool as it goes, just start off with that, and once it pulls through here, it actually stops this whole machine, raises the Z-axis and moves it back like this, and then on the display it says Filament Change. So once you do that, I turned off a couple of settings in the firmware, so I just actually push it through when I see it come through the other side, and I just retighten this tension to where I want it, and pull that excess off because it's cooled, and then just push this button right here. It goes right back to where it started, and it starts right over. I don't know why I had problems with it initially, but all of a sudden it started working, and then I had some issues with octoprint, and the actual font and everything on the display wasn't right, so I reloaded everything. We'll go over a little bit of that, and it's going to take you a while. It's going to take you a while to learn octoprint and everything else you need. I'll provide links to Joe Mike Terranella's website. Outstanding. That's how I loaded this stuff. If you're using Adafruit display with a Raspberry Pi, then you're almost going to have to use our image. But like I said, that's an official 7-inch touch. And you know, I don't know what everybody's finances are. I'm not rich myself, but you know, I went ahead and I have the 4.5-inch touch. It just wasn't working out for me. And actually, I really don't use this thing that much, but it's there. As a standalone, this with octoprint and everything, this is a standalone machine. You don't need anything else short of G-code. Nothing. I mean, I can, after I loaded everything up, I can turn this thing on from work if I wanted to, but I wouldn't do that. But the option's there. Parts cooling. This is my solution to this. I originally had a 40-inch, not a 40-inch, but a 40-millimeter fan on here. I didn't think it was enough, especially for bridging. I mean, they work, that's fine, but I wanted a radial fan, and I had a very, very hard time going through files. I'm not very good at designing, so I'm gonna have to get that way. That's why I bought this. But at any rate, I will provide links for a radial fan shroud that fits in any 40-millimeter fan structure. So these are separately printed parts. This is the best parts cooling I've thought for me. I printed that up, and this fan is actually perfect. It fits exactly perfect on this machine. I couldn't find anything else. And I actually have the upgrade to the Titan, but it won't fit on this machine unless you redesign them out. So keep that in mind. It will not fit. It's too short. It shortens everything up, and it's not going to work. So unless I design my own, or somebody comes up with something, this is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. DL Touch. This is the absolute simplest and best solution out there. I'm telling you. I printed mounts. I printed everything. And no shimming, no nothing. Because it's adjustable. And I mounted it on this side of the stepper. Put shimming washers out that way. So it slides up and down no matter what. The shimming stuff sucks, and it's not consistent. At least it wasn't for me. And I ended up going actually back to this after I printed, you know, a 3-hour, 4-hour mount up, which was actually pretty nice. But this is the absolute best solution, I think, for this machine. Hands down, at least for me. This is the original mount that could stand to be redesigned. I did remove the normal, that, you know, huge big brick that was on there and put a pancake stepper on. Huge difference in weight and your print quality. There you go, there's a shot of the other side for the actual shroud for the hot end. I gotta tell you, when you print the shroud for the hot end, print it in ABS. Print it in ABS. If you use PLA, that thing's going to loosen up just like the original cheesy plastic that E3D has that cracks all the time. ABS is tighter, it's more heat resistant, and you're not going to have that loosening factor in there. So I printed quite a few of those in PLA. And finally, I'm like, you know what? Let me try give my hand a shot at ABS, and it's good. It's good. So not only that, but it'll give you some practice at it. Heat bed for ABS, 100. I needed 100 even on this PEI for it to adhere and stick. So software I'm using. Simplify 3D, try Cura. I have the other typical stuff. Cura probably gave me some of the best results, but I'm just getting my feet wet with Simplify. It's $150, so you know they let you try it out if you want. I can't really say that at this point that print quality is 100% over what I've experienced with Cura, but the motors, the steppers on this thing are so quiet on how it uses a G-code. I mean, they're like super quiet. Cura is pretty quiet. If you're using 3D slicer, oh my god, you may as well, you need dampers for it. And it's how it uses a G-code and moves these stepper motors. It's like 3 times as loud as Cura. Cura steps it down 3 times, and then you use Simplify 3D. I think it was just worth it for me, just for the noise level. And I also put this on Home Depot, you know, those silicone feet, because this is right above another bedroom downstairs. So, and then this thing won't slide; it won't move. It's solid. So we'll move on to and look at how I store my filament, which is simple. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So to store my filament, I believe this is a Glad storage box. Picked this one up at Walmart. I couldn't find it anywhere else. I mean, you could order them online through Amazon or whatever, but they're like $15. And it has a seal in here. It's supposed to, you know, keep a lot of the moisture. It's supposed to make this weather tight, so take that for what it's worth. For the filament, so I just throw it in here, and I purchased this EverDry dryer. This is the bigger one. I think it's a 4 or 5,000 or something like that. But they sell different sizes. There's a small one and the big one. I bought the big one. I didn't realize it was that large, but I think it was, I actually did myself a favor by doing that. I didn't think this thing was going to turn green. It turns green when the desiccant has absorbed all the moisture that it can handle. And it actually turned green after like a month. And I keep this thing closed, so there was moisture in there. More than I thought there would ever be. And then all you do is just plug that in. You'll want to not hang this in the wall. You're going to want to put an extension cord or something on it. And then just plug it in. I think it says 12 to 14 hours. And then it regenerates. It says it's supposed to last up to 10 years. But I think, again, that depends on your demographics. Where you live. If you live in some place like Houston, Texas, or Louisiana, or on the East Coast, I don't know. I live in Northern California, and I didn't think it was that much humidity in the air, but apparently there is. There's enough to where that turned green after about a month. So I don't know what's up with this flash on this phone. But anyway, I highly suggest that you get one of these. Also, that print dry. If you have the desiccant bags, it also dries those. I guess you could use it for beef jerky too if you wanted to, but that's all it is a food dehydrator with a customized top. But like I said, it wasn't worth it to me to try to build something. So anyway, this is what I used for filament storage. These boxes are very cheap, so if you have a whole bunch of it, you probably put 3 rolls, so 12 rolls per box, depending on how you situate it. But my son actually is a guitar player. He's going to school for that, but I bought him a couple of these smaller ones, and he said that he has to monitor the moisture, and he said these things work wonders. And I haven't noticed any more of the popping. You know, you hear that little crackling and popping and a little bit of hissing here and there. That's your filament absorbing moisture. So by keeping the filament in here, I haven't noticed much of that. And then if I do, then I'll use a print dry. So I did get a little sunlight. There's that display holder I was talking about earlier, and that button there. That's not a printed button. It was just one of the originals that I had for this display, and it fit on there. Kind of liked it. It kind of fit my color scheme, which is blue, black, and gray. So I try to keep everything on those colors, at least printed for this machine. So that about wraps it up for this video. Those are the upgrades that I've put on here. And just one other thing, 8825 drivers. Swapped the originals out for those. They operate at higher voltage. They're supposed to be quiet. They're 1/32 step, so that's the main reason. I don't really see a sense in the voltage, but mainly because of the 1/32 step. It quiets these motors down a bit. So we'll close this out, wrap it up. Once again, please like, comment, subscribe. I'll provide links to all the information that I've given you. I hope it helps some of you out there. I hope this whole machine as a whole gives you some ideas on how maybe you might want to set yours up. If you like this video, or if you think it sucks, let me know that. If you don't like it, please let me know why you don't like it so I can make some changes. But we'll call this done. Thanks for watching.